Welcome to the F.E.A.R Chronicles, false evidence appearing real, where we are covering real stories for navigating burnout, bold moves, and becoming your best self. I'm your host, Natasha Agha, private practice strategist, mother of two, and recovering perfectionist. This is the space where we get honest about the pivots, the pressure, and the purpose behind it all. If you're navigating life transitions, career shifts, motherhood, or learning to trust yourself again, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. And I left off last week talking about a retreat I said yes to. So we've really been kind of going throughout this entire journey. There's a lot of stuff that I've left out for simplicity's sake. And of course, the story isn't going to stop here. So what I am going to say is this will be the final episode on this platform. In this way, I am actually going to transition this to a podcast, which will be titled F.E.A.R Chronicles. So that is actually going to go a little bit deeper. Of course, this has just kind of been my journey so far, which I'll also put into the podcast. But then episodes going forward are going to be about navigating transitions and making those scary decisions, rebuilding from the inside out, and all that good stuff. So I was going to say that to the end, but I figured I might as well just say it now. So moving on, I'm pretty excited about this. So this retreat, it was in Canada, and I had never been to Canada. And actually what was kind of, I don't want to say funny, but interesting was that it was going to be at Whistler. And Whistler was actually something on my bucket list from a long time ago. I was supposed to go to Canada, actually to Whistler, with a friend of mine when I lived out of state, and then I kind of plans fell through. It never happened. So I was really excited about this. So I committed, I made the plan, and booked my flight. So what's interesting is being from Minnesota, just kind of an aside, was that it was nicer there than it was in Minnesota. It was like sub-zero temperatures here. And it was still snowy with the beautiful mountains, but it was like, comfortable, I would say, like 30-ish degrees there, which was not what it was here. So that also was nice. But, I landed in Canada. And, from that point on, everything just seemed really aligned, even from the first person that I met at the airport. You know who you are. And, there was a warm welcome there. And then every soul that I met at this retreat they were all incredible. And, the work that we did together it's difficult to find the words to describe this experience. But what I will say is, transformational, to say the least. Even months later, I have a really difficult time like articulating what, for me and my experience and what happened. So I really hope to sit down and really find some words to describe like the type of work we did and what it was, but it was incredible. And it taught me a lot. And I think the biggest, well, there's so many takeaways, but I think for the purposes of this, I will say that the biggest takeaway was learning and experiencing, the authentically sharing with others. I would say for me, relating it back to what I'm doing right now, before this experience, I would say that I wouldn't be on any of these platforms sharing the way I'm sharing, but also that I wouldn't be sharing as much if I was sharing at all, really, about my journey and everything else. So it taught me a lot, and it just, of course, as you do this with others in this retreat scenario, you learn a lot about other people, but you learn a lot about yourself, and that it's everybody has their own unique story. And so really some of the biggest lessons I would say was, if I hadn't, taken the chance to invest in myself, whether it was in the program or with this retreat, if I hadn't made, the investments and then stayed accountable, and leaned in towards the community, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So, I mean, it speaks volumes, I would say. So when I got to the retreat, like I went in feeling pretty good. Like I was excited, but I felt pretty good about like I knew I had some work, but I felt pretty good. And I really what I came out with was like, wow, I had this realization that I had completely lost myself between running my private practice, navigating motherhood, and then making my career pivot. Um, I really didn't know who I was anymore. I mean, a lot of my identity had shifted anyway, but like I didn't even know what that was. And really that pause, being, taking myself out of my environment that I was in and then really doing a lot of that deep work was very powerful. And I came out with, a newer, improved version of me, which has since improved exponentially since then. But um, just more aligned with everything as far as like what I want to do, what I'm focused on. And I really feel like I found not only like my figured out what my goals are, but really figured out what my purpose is and how I want to go about doing that, which I think is all important, but I never would have come to those realizations had I not done the things and really just took the lead to find myself. Um, and knowing that I just following the nudges that I had of, I need more, even though I was already in another program, and basically everything coming what seemed to be full circle. But again, there was a lot of exponential growth since then. Um, as I talk in circles, what I do want you to know, again, this isn't the end of the story, but just knowing that, obviously you don't have to, take, a retreat per se to really discover these things, but just knowing and increasing that level of awareness that, even if you don't love where you are, you can always change it, and your business doesn't reflect your purpose, and you can also realign that to make it so. And that your relationships and your time and your energy, your finances, even if they all feel off, you have the power to shift it all. Anything is possible. That's you have the power to change anything as long as you are willing to put in the effort to make the change. So, if this episode resonates with you, I do want to personally invite you to go deeper. You can join me inside my 4-week mini course, which is called All Starts With You, the expanded edition out of my signature program, the Private Practice Burnout Solution. And I can always, you can send me a message, comment below. I can send you more information. But just knowing that the truth is that before we change our schedules, our systems, our strategies, no matter what business that you're in, or even if you're not in your own private practice, all of this starts with you.
Thanks for joining me on the F.E.A.R Chronicles. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to like, comment, or share with someone who needs it. Want more support? Check out the links below for free resources, workshops, and how to work with me. Remember, bold moves start with small shifts. You've got this, and I've got you.